Hi, so I wanted to come on to this video and talk about me and my ADHD and all my neurospicy disorders. So I got diagnosed as a child because I was adopted. So that's the reason I got diagnosed then, because they kept a closer eye on me. I got diagnosed with hyperactivity, which is now known as ADHD, but I got absolutely no help, probably because it was so long ago, because I'm an old bird, and they didn't understand it there. So it's not like anyone was being rude or anything, they just didn't understand what it was, or didn't even know what it was. So got the diagnosis. I know people like to have a diagnosis, and that's great as well, because then you're not going crazy, I'll get all that. But I had a diagnosis and I still didn't get any help. So all these symptoms that I have because of the diagnosis I was never told about. So again, I felt quite crazy, if that makes sense. As I'm going into my teens at 15, I get diagnosed with dyslexia just before my exams. Again, no help, so that wasn't really helpful. Okay, I've got that, no help, no nothing. Again, because it was quite a long time ago, the help that's in the schools now isn't what we didn't have any of that when we was at school. Then as I go into adulthood, then I get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, degenerative disc disease, dyspraxia. So I get this big load of diagnoses, which makes you feel like you're a hypochondriac when you're not. And it's like, why have I got all these different diagnoses? The main thing is because the government in their wisdom decided to put everyone in the neurodiverse box, but then they decided to box us in. And the problem with that is we predominantly will be one thing. So I'm predominantly ADHD and dyslexia, but then I have like fragments, parts of me that are autistic, that could be autistic traits. So I have sensory issues. I can have sensory issues, which will probably more come under autistic than it does ADHD. Again, that is because of the boxes. Now, really and truthfully, they should just have one thing, and it is not a disorder. It's not bad. We just look upon it as that because we're trying to be in a society, in a world that doesn't understand us and doesn't know how to teach us. If you put children into a specialist school, which they call specialists, but it's a school that understands them, they thrive. We see things differently. We see things outside the box. We're amazing in a crisis, which I've yet to understand how that works, because I worry about things. Then when actually things happen, I'm really, really good in a crisis and everyone else is falling apart around me. So we're great in a crisis. It's just, I think we've been conditioned that this isn't a superpower, that there is something wrong with us, because people don't like things they don't understand. So if society doesn't understand it, then they're like, oh, it's bad, and it's not. And I think we need to kind of get away from that. The link also with ADHD is hypermobility. Now, I'm not a doctor, so please don't, I'm not diagnosing anybody. This is just my journey and what I've learned. Now, if you can strengthen muscles between the ages of like being young to 10, it will really help with hypermobility, because there's a link between hypermobility and fibromyalgia, and the reason for that is chemicals. So we don't produce as much dopamine as, say, the normal person, and that's because our brains are smaller. That's not because they're bad, because they're smaller. We've evolved. We see things differently. You know, we're great entrepreneurs. We're very arty. We're very, very creative. Keep thinking about the positives and not the negatives. Because of that, though, we don't produce as much, so we look for dopamine fixes, and that's where you get a lot of people that are addicts. I mean, we can be addicted to a lot of stuff. We don't have to be addicted just to substances. There's shopping, friends, arguments, good addictions, which is swimming, good diet, eating. It depends which way you look at it, you know, but it's because we're very fixated on certain things, which and looking for a dopamine fix, that can be a positive, but it can also be a negative. And that's why addiction is an illness in itself, with substance addictions, is because we're dealing with chemicals in the brain, you know. Just because the chemicals are in the brain and not on the physical body doesn't make it any less of an illness. But that is, so have a look at that, if because there's so many people that do suffer with addiction, that there's a link between addiction and ADHD, and that is because of the whole dopamine and good feeling hormone. EBV as well, which is Epstein-Barr virus, we're more likely to have that triggered in the body than if we didn't have ADHD. And again, that's just the way our chemicals work, our DNA works, our makeup works, and that's the reason for that. And EBV, most people have it, it's Monod's disease, kissing disease, or if you've ever had glandular fever, it sits in the spinal cord. 87% of people have it, but it's not triggered, but it's more likely to be triggered with us. And if that's triggered, then there's a link between that and fibromyalgia. So having all of these diagnoses, I just go, I've got it, I'm just Susie, right? And I'm just a little bit spicy sometimes, you know, with my neurospices. So yeah, that's kind of my journey, and just that's what's brought me to this. And I want to help other people not think that they're crazy, because so many people have said to me, oh, you're crazy, Susie, you're this, you're that, and I'm not. My brain works differently, and it's kind of getting it across that your brain works differently, without being rude, because we're struggling with time management, without nodding off when someone's trying to talk to us because our brains have just shut down. You know, all these things that people deem to be rude isn't rude, it's just the way our brains work. So it's like taking that time and stop worrying what people think, which is really, really difficult, and just accept yourself. I think the first thing you need to do before doing anything else is accept yourself for who you are, and actually look at the good things and not the bad things. Dyslexia makes me a better salesperson, 100%. It's been amazing in my career. Yeah, no, I struggle on the computer and doing all the logical stuff, but when it comes to sales, I was amazing because I didn't have to think about it. I did it my way. A lot of people couldn't, within, you know, before I got into this work, into my journey of sales, a lot of people couldn't replicate what I do and ask how I did it, and I didn't think about it, I just did it. And I think again, that's also an autistic trait. If you ask an autistic child how, or a person, how they got to that maths equation, they can't tell you, right? Keep asking a child, it makes them angry. Asking them how they worked it out, or please can you show us how you worked it out. Why do you need to know that? If you've got the answer, why do you need to know the working out? Because our brains do not work in that way, we just know it. We don't need to work it out, because the way our neurological pathways go, it gives us the answer. So I hope this has helped. Please leave some comments or any experiences, you know, so we can share these experiences and we can help one another. I will to you, you will to me. So my name's Susie, I'm the Quantum Healing Medium, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.